Here's Brodie Brazil.
You know, after living with a lab now for more than 6 years, I definitely feel qualified to make this video 5 things you should know about Labrador Retrievers. This is Melvin. He's a huge part of our family. We absolutely love him. And you can tell by the amount of nicknames he's got. Melvs, Melvy Moo, Bubs, Bubbies, Bubbles. Yeah, we call him everything around here. Such a huge part of our family. We kind of do treat him like a human. I mean, he really is that for us. And I can't wait to tell you these 5 things that I've gained after being his dad now for 6 years. I'll tell you all about him. But first, can I just say while you're here, if you like this type of content, help me make more of it. Help me grow this channel and this platform by subscribing to it. I would really appreciate that. Also, at the end of this video, if you actually end up liking it, don't forget to give it a thumbs up so that it can be recommended to others right here on YouTube. All right, so these 5 things you need to know that I found out begins with number 1. And it's quite obvious. As soon as you have a lab, you realize this. You're going to have fur everywhere. This dog, and I mean a lot of dogs do, but this dog in particular sheds like a beast all over the place. Places you never thought of, places you never even knew existed. I find his fur on my clothes, in my shoes. How about this one? I find fur in my car. Melvin has never been in my car, so how would there be fur all on the inside? Well, I'm in the house, I sit on the couch, there's fur there, I get up, as soon as I get in my car, it's transferred from the couch to my clothes to my car, and I'm like, wait a second, how is it all over the seats and floor? I highly suggest that if you have a lab or you're about to get one, that you invest in a quality vacuum. You are really going to need this, whether you have carpet floor or hardwood floor, any type of couches, other places. Like I said, vacuuming this up is going to be pretty much an everyday routine for you now. And also this, there are times of the year where I do feel like he sheds more than others, specifically going into summer and also going into winter. Not positive about that. Not sure if it's the same for all labs or even all breeds of dogs, but specifically him, I've definitely found that. And his light fur, on a dark surface, dark carpet, dark upholstery. I mean, it really does show up. So you are going to have more fur than you ever imagined. And also this, when you vacuum it up and you empty the canister, I mean, sometimes I'm thinking like, that's enough fur for a whole other dog that I just vacuumed up from our floor or the couches or whatever. So yeah, he generates a lot of fur. Granted, I'm not necessarily complaining about this. It's not my favorite thing in the world to have all over the place, but just be aware and expect it. They do shed a lot. All right, point number 2 here of 5, and I do not mean to sound cruel at all. By the way, I love this photo that I took of him a couple years ago, but it's the brain to heart ratio. I feel like it's 2 to 1. Well, actually, no. If it's the brain to heart, it's 1 to 2, because he does so many things, I feel like, thinking with his heart. It's not always the smartest thing to do that he makes the decision on. It's the thing that he wants to do, that he loves to do. Can't help himself sometimes. And this was especially true when, he was a puppy. Couldn't hear you all of a sudden because he was doing what his heart wanted to do and not what his brain probably could have logically figured out. And again, I know dogs are not people. They do not have necessarily the capability to have a thought process. I realize that. I'm not suggesting that. But what I'm saying is, as a human, evaluating the things that he's done over the years, a lot of times he's thinking with his heart way more often than his brain. So if it's the brain to heart ratio, I'm going to say with Melvin that it's probably 1 to 2. And again, I love the guy. A lot of times he does sweet and cute things and fun things and funny things. And you could just, you get enjoyment out of seeing his enjoyment. Yeah, but a lot of times he's thinking on what's the most fun thing to do, not what am I supposed to do or what's the right thing to do. I don't mean to be cruel. I'm just being honest. Number 3 of 5 here is to watch the lab's metabolism. Now, true story, I think it was maybe when Melvin was about 3 years old, and we were not changing his exercise routine, we were not changing his food intake, but between vet visits, he gained about 20 pounds. And we might have noticed it. The hard thing is you don't really take notice when you're living with this dog on an everyday basis. It's like a human. You don't see a drastic increase in weight gain or maybe even weight loss. I mean, we kind of had the indication, but not to the extent of 20 plus pounds. But the vet quickly alerted that to us. We instantly cut his food in half for just a couple weeks. And then we brought it back from 4 cups down to 2 and then back up to 3. And he's been absolutely fine ever since. And fortunately, it was not a medical condition. All it was is the metabolism changing. As a puppy, we used to give him, I'm not even joking, 3 walks a day. Fortunately, it was back when we did not have a child, so we had time for that. But think about it, in the middle of summer or winter, he needs to go out 3 times a day and get a 20 to 30 to 40 plus minute walk. Like, he needed that because if not, at night, he'd be crazy. You just wanted to help him regulate energy levels and get what his body needed, and that was a workout. But obviously that's changed over time. Now, as an adult dog, we walk him once for a decent amount in the morning, probably a couple miles, about a 40-plus minute walk, and that's generally all he needs on most days. Certainly other days, there's a lot more to it than just that. That's kind of the baseline. But you really do have to watch the metabolism, how it changes, how all of a sudden he may not need as much exercise, or in Melvin's case, definitely did not need as much food all of a sudden. Otherwise, they do gain weight. And vets will tell you for labs specifically that being overweight is especially a vulnerable spot. They do tend to have joint and bone problems as they get older. So you want to minimize that by keeping them at a healthy weight. So watch the lab's metabolism. That's number 3. Here's number 4. And maybe you're watching this video, by the way, because you just got a lab, or you're about to get a lab, or you're thinking about it. I can tell you this, at least in our experience, is 1,000% true. Labs love each other. Now, Melvin's a very social dog, and we've done a lot of positive reinforcement with him to be around other animals, around other dogs. So there's pretty much not a dog that he won't want to go up and say hi to or sniff and be friendly with. I mean, that's not the problem, but it's just so noticeable when he is around another lab or even another retriever-ish type dog. It's almost like a family reunion instantly. And these could be 2 dogs that have never seen each other. I mean, there are other neighborhood dogs he knows, he recognizes, and that's fine. That's understood. But he could walk up to a lab he's never even met before, and instantly both of them, tails wagging, they're loose, they're really friendly, they want to jump all over each other. And have you ever seen the way 2 retriever dogs play with each other? I mean, if you're not used to it at first, it could look a bit violent or dangerous. Oftentimes, if you're watching for the right things, it's absolutely not. This is just what they do. But labs love each other an extraordinary amount. And I don't know if that goes back to the whole brain to heart ratio thing, like the hearts are just beating for each other, but it is pretty crazy that these dogs recognize each other, and they are especially different and lovable on a general basis to each other. And then last but not least, I'm not sure why I selected this photo of our son when he was young with Melvin. Has nothing to do with the food aspect, but I can tell you in Melvin's case specifically, he has always been tremendously motivated by food. Now, I'm saying this because that was actually a great thing in us helping to train him properly as a puppy, because we could use food as positive reinforcement. You know, I imagine if you had a dog that wasn't so hyper about, getting every snack that you put in his mouth. I mean, and that's the other thing too. He is so motivated by food that we actually have to give him, still to this day, maybe a little bit less, but when he was a puppy, we had to put the treats in our hand and then close our hand and then have him kind of lick it out of a closed hand. Otherwise, if you just put your hand out flat like this, he would be so like this that he would actually sometimes accidentally, bite a finger here or there as he was going for the food. He wasn't trying to bite us, but so motivated by food, so intense about food, which is, again, like I said, you can harness that into positive reinforcement as you train the dog. And there are a couple different, training methods of positive reinforcement, but specifically you can use food as something to help your lab have a better life through training and through harnessing their desire to get that food and how you reward them. It's just much easier than any other type of reward, because they want this food and they instantly and they inherently already know that it is the positive reinforcement. All you have to do is properly administer it. So there you go. 5 things you need to know about Labrador Retrievers. This is a fun breed. This is a beast right here. He's a big boy. I mean, I think high 80s, low 90 pounds generally is what he's always been, but it's been fun to watch him grow. And now to watch him be a sibling to our son and to have those two really love each other, it's a great family dog. I think everybody already knows that, but hopefully I've given you some new insights today about the Lab, all these things I've learned in our first 6 years with Melvin.